Hello everybody, CW here. Let's have another 400 Legend video. Why not, right? Well, today was a pretty good day. I got a lot of stuff done in the garage. I was able to get out, do a little bit of shooting. I shot a couple of No Pros 22 challenges with my buddy. And I got home here and I deprimed the brass that I shot after the challenges. And I stopped at the gun store on the way home because they're right around the corner. And I picked up some powder. Now I had a pound of this that I bought a while ago to try. My dealer was asking me about powders to get in, and I mentioned this one. It's a newer powder from Accurate. It's a flash suppressant powder, FS, and number 11. And it's right in the same league. Now it doesn't fall there with burn rates or anything like that, but it's a fast burning pistol powder, Magnum pistol powder, that has some applications in some small rifle. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it's a really good, well recommended 400 Legend powder. So because powders are getting thin and hard to find, coming up in price, I grabbed 2 more pounds. So I've got 3 pounds or almost 3 pounds of this. And it was a pretty good cost. So not a big deal. And like I said, it's highly recommended in the little bit of data that's out there for the 400 Legend. So I figured it's a good one to start with. Like when I started with the 300 Hammer, I picked up a few pounds of CFE Black because it was such highly rated powder for that cartridge. So we'll do the same thing here. If it turns out to be good, I'll have it. If it turns out not to be good, well, I'll have it. Maybe I'll find another caliber it'll shoot good in. But I'm pretty sure we'll find something that'll work good in. And it looks really close to what the factory is using in looks. No idea anything more than that. We haven't even... We've loaded 1 bullet. We haven't fired a single one yet, so we don't know. But looking through my 10mm stash, I knew I had this. This is XTP's 200 grain. And again, I didn't really think about using these. I was really leaning towards my cast. And the first one I got was this 220 grain Accurate mold. I got this specifically for the Legend. And I've got one more coming. A 265 that I haven't heard from yet, but I ordered it at the beginning of June, so we're approaching 3/4 of the way through as I film this. As you watch it, it'll probably be just over a month since I ordered the mold, and maybe it'll be in by the time you're watching this. And I'll get some bullets loaded, cast up, and we can try it out. But anyway, so I wanted to look at, the powder, some of the bullets that are available. And here's some of my cast. And what I've got here. I've got a couple of different 200 grain bullets. And here's one of them. This is an MP mold. It's a 200 grain, and it casts a hollow point, a cup point, and a solid. So that's the hollow point. Here's the solid. It's a 200 grain solid. Wide flat nose. So this could be a really good bullet. I kind of want to be a little bit heavier, but it could be a good bullet. Here's another one. Just a different color. Same mold. And then here is what is this? It's a 200 grain wide flat point, but it's a Arsenal mold. This is a slick side. Bought this for the 10mm, and it's a really nice bullet. So this one, may have options. That's 2 different 200 grain wide flat noses that we can try. And here's a third 200 grain. This is an old Lyman mold truncated cone, beveled based, 200 grain, 10 millimeter bullet. This one will feed no problem. I'm a little bit concerned with feeding of the other two. I was checking out the Ruger American Predator today again at my dealer, and I checked on my order, and nobody has any in stock that he has found. But he has been offered the rifle. So what happens a lot of times is the sales guys at these distributors are allocated firearms and products to sell. They sometimes don't make the regular list of in-stock items or stocking items for that distributor. The guy may just be given a list that, you know, we've got 25 of them, push these, let's get them sold, you know, see how they're going to work, yada, yada, yada. And he was contacted, he said no more than 2 weeks ago, about the very rifle that I wanted. They had them and they were trying to get rid of them. I make that sound like a bad thing. They were allocated as a special purchase deal, yada, yada, yada. So he's got to try and remember who that was, make a few phone calls and see if they have them. So he checked with me today and nobody had them listed, but that doesn't mean they don't have them. So he's going to make some phone calls next week and see if he can find one for me. And here's another bullet. This is a 220 grain. This is a truncated cone too. This one should feed no problem. I'm not really worried about this one. It's got a little bit of a me-plat on it, a little bit better than the 200 grain TC bullet, Lyman bullet, but it's got a little bit of weight, 220. So this is going to be a good bullet, I think, if it shoots good. And lastly, here's some Zinkers. I was given these by a friend of mine, and this is a 155 grain zinc bullet, but it's the size of about a 230 or 225, 220 grain mold. So this could be a good option as a plinker. I got a whole bag of them. I got, I don't know, 250 of them. And zinc is a really good barrel cleaner. Andy, the Zinc Master, has told us many times that you just shoot some zinc down your barrel and it'll be just lickety-split clean. So, here we go. And this is a bevel-based bullet. Cup-based. Round, flat style. So, you know, it's zinc. It's really hard. So it's not going to expand. Not going to be very traumatic as a hunting bullet, but it would make a nice target bullet. Not to waste money. I got them for free. Probably push it pretty quick. So we'll probably work up some loads with this one. And lastly, you know, what are we going to use for data? Well, Hodgdon to the rescue, because the latest Hodgdon manual, this is the 2024 manual, actually has 400 legend data on page 131. 400 legend. This is from a 20-inch barrel, so it's pretty useful. I've ordered a 22-inch barrel, but I see in the Ruger catalog that they are cataloging the ranch rifle with a 16, which I don't want. The standard model with the gray stock, these are all Gen 2 guns. The standard model with the gray stock with a 20-inch barrel, threaded 11/16 24, same thing, which is important to me because that's the same threading of my 450 Bushmaster, and it's the same of the 46 can that we'll be using for this gun. And the one that I want is the Predator. That's the bronze, sorry, let's step back. The standard model is a gray stock. It's like a titanium Cerakote. 20-inch barrel, threaded 11/16 24. All the nice features. They all have the same basic features. Now the 400 and the 450 Bushmaster are not fluted. They're such a large bore that the fluting would make for very thin walls, and they don't do them in those two calibers. So it's a smooth barrel So it's probably going to be a little bit heavier than the other calibers. But then again, it's got a 40 and a 45 caliber bore. So it's got the bigger bore diameters, which removes material. So I'm not really worried about weight. It is what it is. This is not a lightweight hunting mountain rifle. It's going to be a regular hunting rifle. It's probably not going to be, you know, 7.5, 8 pounds at max. Maybe a little more than that scoped. So I'm not worried about it. But I definitely want at least 20 inches of barrel. I don't want to have a short barrel again. Well, let's just leave it there. I want at least a 20-inch barrel. So this data came with a 20-inch barrel. For those who are interested, the twist is 1 in 16. So it should be fine for any bullet weight that I'm going to shoot. I'm not really buying this for subsonics, but it should be enough for some medium weight subsonic bullets. So we've got data here for 140 grain Barnes tack bullet, TACXP, 165 grain Sierra Jacket hollow point, 165 grain Federal Syntech. Now that's interesting because that's going to be about the same as what we can do with our cast bullets, because a Syntech is basically a nylon coated cast bullet, just like our powder coated lead bullets are. 180 grain Spear Gold Dot hollow point, 200 grain Hornady XTP, and the factory 15 grain Winchester PowerPoint bullet. Now they're listing velocities here up to 2269 with 43,400 PSI. This cartridge is loaded to 45,000 PSI max. And that velocity is almost 100 faster than the next velocity in charge here. And they're listing 5744, IMR 4227, and 11FS as the 3 powders for that 215 grain. Those are the same powders that they're using for everything until you get down to the 140, and then they're adding Enforcer. Some interesting things here. That 140 grain tack bullet, they've got that going almost 2,900 feet per second with 11FS powder at 44,000 PSI. Now, we've mentioned this before. We're loading this in a bolt gun. We can definitely work a little past that PSI rating. I'm not going to be afraid at all to push this past 50,000. Not much more, but 50, 55,000, no problem. In a Ruger bolt gun or a Savage bolt gun. Those pressures are designed to be safe in an AR with the larger head for the back thrust of that bullet in a AR-15. When you get this into a rifle, it's got a little bit smaller head stamp, you know, case head than the 3006 270, and it's got a lot lower pressures. So we're going to be perfectly safe loading this up a little bit if we feel the need for a little more speed. So that's good. It's not a lot of data. You know, there's only, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets. But one of them is a cast bullet, that Federal Syntech. So it gives us a start. Now, I can extrapolate powder charges here based on a couple other cartridges for lead bullets without any problem. Like, I wouldn't be at all afraid of my average 2400 load or my unique load that I've used across the board in many different cartridges. They're probably going to get me without any trouble at all, any workups at all. Let's say 13 to 1600 feet per second without even trying. So that's going to be good. Okay, we're not going to do any loading. We're not going to do any other steps in the process. We are going to have another video here setting up that cedar die, but that'll be a next video. We got about 15 minutes in here. I just wanted to share with you what I had found, the fact that we are looking for the rifle. I found these, which I was surprised and glad to see. These will be a good one to play with. Possible good hunting bullet. Before I send these at a deer, I'm going to have to send them through some wet paper or wet water, water jugs, something like that, and see what kind of expansion we get, because I'm worried that they're going to overexpand at the velocities attainable. You certainly could load them down a little bit, but then you're defeating the purpose of the cartridge. So that's not my intent. But if I can get that 220 over here, you know, up 1,800 feet per second, I'm going to be happy. That 265 that's coming, if I can get that one up there, and I know I can, I'm going to be real happy. But it's got to come with good enough accuracy. This is not going to be a long-range caliber, but I want it to be able to, well, I want it to be able to be at least a tennis ball at, say, 250. If I can keep them on tennis ball at 250, I'd be happy. So there you go. There we go. All right. God bless everybody. One quick 400 Legend video. Just a little more talking about calibers and cartridges and such. And probably the next time we'll work out those cedar dies. All right. God bless everybody. Have you used this powder? Let me know. CW out.